Hello friends. Have you ever met someone and felt like the universe itself had set up your meeting? Like everything just clicked, the conversation flowed, the energy sparked, and something deep down told you this connection was more than ordinary. Now, imagine that click happening between an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman. Two fire signs. Two bold spirits. Two people who walk into a room and change its energy. What happens when they find each other? Let's explore this blazing cosmic duo across love, sex, marriage, friendship, and business, because when Aries meets Sagittarius, it's not just chemistry. It's combustion. Love compatibility. When an Aries man falls in love, it's not a subtle, gradual process, it's a cosmic event. One moment he's living his fast-paced, adrenaline-fueled life, and the next, he's consumed by a force he didn't see coming. Love doesn't creep up on Aries, it collides with him. There are no emotional training wheels with this man. His affection is raw, real, and reckless. Ruled by Mars, he approaches relationships the way a warrior approaches battle, with courage, intensity, and a need to conquer. He's the type to fall for someone at first glance, then spend the next week planning how to impress them with bold moves, think motorcycle rides at midnight, rooftop dinners, or impulsive weekend trips to a city neither of them has ever seen. The Sagittarius woman, by contrast, embodies a love that is just as fiery but dances to a freer rhythm. Ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, she views relationships as an exploration rather than a destination. For her, love is not about permanence or possession, it's about shared horizons. She doesn't fall in love because someone fits a mold. She falls in love because someone sparks her curiosity, matches her wit, and runs at her speed without trying to cage her spirit. She's drawn to experience, wisdom, and wide-open possibilities. Grand romantic gestures are appreciated, but what really wins her over is sincerity, laughter, and the freedom to be her unfiltered self. When these two fire signs meet, the connection is immediate, intense, and often larger than life. Their first conversations feel like déjà vu, like they've known each other for years. They talk about everything, the universe, their wildest dreams, philosophical what-ifs, and their most reckless travel stories. Within days, they might be planning a backpacking trip across Southeast Asia or buying tickets to a festival in another country. There's little hesitation. Their energy matches, their desires align, and their optimism creates a shared belief that together, they can do anything. And they're not wrong. Together, they form a couple that exudes passion, joy, and relentless momentum. They're the couple that others watch with a mix of awe and envy, spontaneous, magnetic, and seemingly unstoppable. They bring out each other's adventurous side and push one another to break boundaries, try new things, and live out loud. Love, for them, is an experience, a journey full of surprises, laughter, and countless firsts. But love built on fire also comes with its challenges. The Aries man, for all his passion, carries a need for emotional certainty. He wants to know where he stands, and he often expresses love in ways that require closeness, attention, and at times, exclusivity. He likes knowing you're his. Not out of insecurity, but because when he loves hard. Sagittarius, however, needs breathing room. Too much intensity, too soon, can make her feel confined. She cherishes emotional connection, but she cannot be caged. Her idea of commitment is rooted in choice, not obligation. She stays because she wants to, not because she's expected to. This difference in how they express and receive love can create friction. Aries may misread Sagittarius's need for space as detachment. Sagittarius might see Aries' devotion as possessiveness. He wants to hold. She wants to roam. Without understanding, these opposing instincts can create cycles of emotional whiplash, pulling close, then pushing away. However, if they take the time to communicate, to understand the roots of their differences, they can transform this friction into fuel. Aries can learn to trust her freedom as a sign of strength, not distance. Sagittarius can come to appreciate Aries' fierce loyalty as a form of grounding, not limitation. When they choose to grow rather than react, their bond becomes more than passion, it becomes partnership. Their love evolves into something incredibly rare, a connection that's both intense and liberating. They become each other's favorite adventure. There's never a dull moment, whether they're arguing over which wild idea to pursue next or laughing over a shared inside joke that makes zero sense to anyone else. They keep surprising one another. They challenge each other to be bold, to be honest, and to be fully alive. In its highest form, this relationship becomes a living fire that never burns out, it just changes shape. Sometimes it's a wildfire of emotion, other times it's a steady flame of loyalty and trust. And through it all, Aries and Sagittarius learn that love doesn't have to mean losing yourself. In fact, with the right person, it can mean finding more of yourself than you ever imagined. So when an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman fall in love, it's not a quiet tale. It's a legend, written in sparks, fueled by freedom, and remembered for the way it felt like flying. Sexual compatibility. Now let's talk chemistry, because with an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman, it's not just a spark. It's a detonation. This is the kind of pairing that doesn't tiptoe into the bedroom, they crash into it like a meteor hitting Earth. From the first kiss, the first touch, the first glance across the room, there's a magnetic pull between them that's impossible to ignore. The air charges. The temperature rises. And suddenly, they're locked into a gravitational field of raw attraction. Why does it hit so hard? Because both Aries and Sagittarius are fire signs, and in the bedroom, fire means passion, confidence, and zero hesitation. The Aries man brings intensity that's almost primal. He's assertive, direct, and completely in his body. He doesn't wait for permission, he reads the moment and moves. He thrives on the rush, the chase, the conquest, but not in a selfish way. He wants to win your body and blow your mind. Meanwhile, the Sagittarius woman doesn't just respond, she amplifies. She brings a kind of free-spirited sensuality that's both playful and fearless. She wants the experience to be exciting, new, and most of all, fun. She isn't bound by convention or shyness. She wants to explore, to laugh in the moment, to try new things just to see where they lead. She's the type who turns just a kiss into an adventure. Together, they ignite like gasoline on a bonfire. In the bedroom, these two turn routine into a revelation. A simple night in can become an epic memory. One minute they're sharing takeout on the floor, the next they're knocking over furniture. They're physically attuned, energetically aligned, and always curious. Sex is never just a checkbox, it's an expression of life, vitality, and emotional freedom. They push each other's limits in the best ways. If Aries is the fire starter, Sagittarius is the wild flame that dances on top of it. They explore each other without judgment. Aries brings the drive and stamina, he wants to go hard, long, and often. Sagittarius brings flexibility, not just physically, but mentally. She's open to fantasies, to new positions, new locations, and especially to spontaneous moments. Shower? Sure. On vacation? Absolutely. In the middle of a thunderstorm? Even better. There's a sense of shared mischief between them. It's sexy. It's playful. And it never feels like a chore. But beneath all the heat and motion, there's something even more profound, emotional vulnerability. And this is where their chemistry has the potential to transform into something extraordinary. See, sex for these two can be casual and wild at first. But if they stick around, if they build trust, learn each other's emotional rhythms, and start to let their guards down, something beautiful starts to happen. They begin to connect on a level that transcends the physical. Suddenly, it's not just about pleasure. It's about intimacy. Safety. A sacred space where nothing has to be hidden. For the Aries man, this vulnerability can be both terrifying and exhilarating. He's so used to performing strength, being the protector, the initiator. But when he realizes that the Sagittarius woman can hold space for his softness, his fear of failure, his emotional wounds, his quiet insecurities, he starts to open up. He doesn't just want to touch her body anymore. He wants to be seen. For the Sagittarius woman, emotional intimacy in sex is a revelation. She often guards her freedom so fiercely that she forgets how good it feels to be truly understood. But in the arms of a partner who doesn't just chase her but listens to her, respects her independence, and still chooses to stay, that's when she stops running. That's when she offers her soul. This is the moment when their sex life evolves from fiery to formative. When moans turn into whispers, and touch becomes communication. They begin to sync their energies not just physically, but spiritually. They learn to read each other in silence. They know when to play, when to push, and when to pause and just hold each other. It's this depth, the emotional undercurrent beneath the wild surface, that keeps their sexual connection from burning out. Because, let's face it, passion alone can be fleeting. But when it's laced with trust, honesty, and emotional courage, that's when it becomes sustainable. That's when it becomes unforgettable. In the long run, an Aries man and Sagittarius woman aren't just sexually compatible. They're sexually alive, curious, fearless, and capable of turning passion into poetry. Their bedroom is a sanctuary, a laboratory, a dance floor, and a battlefield all at once. And if they choose to keep showing up for each other, not just in heat, but in heart, then their intimacy becomes a masterpiece in motion. So yes, the chemistry is explosive. But the real power? It's in how they choose to burn together, not just for a night, but for a lifetime of rediscovery. Marriage compatibility. Now this is where the rubber meets the road, and not just metaphorically. With an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman, marriage is the kind of ride that takes you off the highway, through the desert, into the mountains, and maybe even into outer space if someone gets a wild enough idea. This is not your average couple, and theirs is definitely not your average union. In fact, trying to box these two into traditional marital expectations is like trying to leash a wildfire. Their chemistry, spontaneity, and shared hunger for adventure give them the potential to create a one-of-a-kind partnership. But that same intensity can also make it a challenge to find stability without sacrificing their souls. Let's start with the high notes, because when it's good between these two, it's really good. An Aries man and a Sagittarius woman share a fundamental belief: life is meant to be lived. They're doers, creators, explorers. They're both driven by vision and ambition, and the beautiful part is, they truly support each other. If she decides she wants to hike the Inca Trail or start a non-profit in Costa Rica, Aries is not the guy who says, "Are you sure that's practical?" He's the guy already packing her bag, or better yet, going with her. Likewise, if Aries wants to pivot careers, start a business, or launch a new passion project, Sagittarius is not only on board, she's his biggest cheerleader. This mutual encouragement creates a dynamic where both partners feel like they're growing, individually and together. There's no fear of outgrowing each other because they're always evolving. Their marriage can be a constantly unfolding journey, filled with travel, philosophical late-night talks, impulsive decisions, and "let's do it" moments that would terrify more traditional couples. They don't just live together, they build a shared story. And it's a wild one. But that same appetite for excitement can make the practical side of marriage feel like a heavy chain. The Aries man is not known for his patience, and the Sagittarius woman has little tolerance for emotional drama or restrictive schedules. Together, they may find it difficult to handle the grind of real life, things like bills, long-term planning, raising kids, or dealing with family expectations. Aries can become reactive when things don't go his way, especially when he's stressed or feels unappreciated. He wants action and results. Sagittarius, in contrast, may start to emotionally disengage when life feels too structured or repetitive. She's not one to linger in discomfort, she'll either speak her mind or vanish into her own mental or physical escape. This creates a push-pull dynamic in the marriage. Aries craves intensity and attention. Sagittarius craves freedom and flow. If they don't develop emotional maturity and strong communication skills, small disagreements can spiral into full-blown frustrations. The danger isn't necessarily betrayal or resentment, it's disconnection. They could become two bright stars drifting away from each other, too busy chasing dreams to nurture the space in between. To make this work long-term, Aries and Sagittarius need to be intentional about how they marry. Traditional setups won't suit them. They need flexibility, movement, and room to grow. This might look like non-traditional work arrangements, unconventional parenting styles, or even splitting time between countries. They'll need to agree on the kind of life they want to build, not based on what society says, but based on what fuels their fire and supports their emotional well-being. Think less, white picket fence in the suburbs, and more, tiny house on wheels with Wi-Fi and a passport drawer. They also need to create rituals that ground them emotionally. This doesn't have to mean date nights at the same restaurant every week, but it could mean something like sunrise coffee talks, annual vision trips, or setting goals together every new moon. They thrive when they feel like teammates on an epic quest, not roommates managing chores. Aries must learn to respect her independence, to let her roam without feeling threatened. Sagittarius must learn to offer emotional presence, to stay when things get tough, and to let herself be held without feeling trapped. When they strike this balance, when they evolve from passionate lovers into conscious partners, their marriage becomes extraordinary. They become the couple everyone else secretly envies, bold, alive, constantly reinventing themselves, yet deeply connected. They'll fight, sure. They'll stumble. But they'll always come back to the fire that brought them together in the first place. A marriage between an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman is not a fairy tale, it's an epic. It's a love story that spans landscapes, lifetimes, and chapters full of triumphs and transformations. If they're willing to keep learning and growing, they'll discover that commitment doesn't have to mean settling down. It can mean rising together, higher than they ever could alone. Friendship compatibility. Here's something not everyone realizes: even if romance fades or life pulls them in different directions, an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman are often bound by a rare and enduring connection that's built for the long haul. Their friendship isn't a plan B after love, it's often the real story, the deeper magic that underpins everything else. When these two fire signs come together without the pressure of romantic expectations, what you get is an unstoppable, electric friendship that's as wild as it is loyal. At the heart of their connection is mutual understanding. Not the surface level, we have stuff in common, kind, but a deep, unspoken recognition. Aries sees the fire in Sagittarius and knows, she gets it. She gets the restlessness, the drive, the refusal to live a life half-lived. Sagittarius looks at Aries and sees a fellow adventurer, someone who acts on instinct and never asks permission to chase their passion. They both know what it's like to be misunderstood by the world, but they don't have to explain themselves to each other. They just click. This shared wavelength creates a friendship that thrives on movement, momentum, and mutual inspiration. They love trying new things together: skydiving, improv classes, spontaneous road trips to nowhere. They might hike a mountain at dawn, then spend the afternoon arguing about Nietzsche versus Star Wars over street tacos. Their energy feeds off each other's, like wind feeding fire. Time with each other never feels stale. They're always doing, learning, laughing, daring. And let's not forget the humor. These two laugh a lot. The Sagittarius woman's wit is razor sharp, and the Aries man's boldness means he'll say anything for a reaction. Together, they banter like a comedy duo, poking fun, playfully roasting each other, and turning every minor disaster into a legendary story. Their jokes are inside jokes. Their memories are chaotic highlight reels. Their friendship feels like a sitcom that never got cancelled. But it's not all jokes and chaos. There's depth here, too. They push each other. Aries will call Sagittarius out when she's running from her own feelings. Sagittarius will challenge Aries when he's being stubborn or self-righteous. They don't enable each other, they elevate each other. Their honesty may sting in the moment, but it's never cruel. It's rooted in belief in each other's potential, in each other's ability to grow, to rise, to evolve. They also hold space for each other in ways others can't. When life hits hard, Aries will fight for her. Not with speeches, but with actions. He shows up. He protects. He does what needs to be done. Sagittarius, meanwhile, offers perspective. She doesn't just comfort, she reframes. She helps Aries see the big picture, to laugh in the chaos, to understand the lesson. They balance fire with fire, but in a way that soothes more than it scorches. Of course, they're not immune to conflict. Fire signs fight. Sometimes explosively. They'll have blowouts over ideas, decisions, egos. Neither likes to back down. Aries can be impulsive and blunt. Sagittarius can be brutally honest and, at times, emotionally elusive. They'll clash, no doubt. But here's the secret weapon of their friendship: they forgive fast. They don't stew in resentment. They don't hold on to drama. They let it burn, then move on, like nothing ever happened. Their fights become part of the rhythm of their relationship, passionate, but never poisonous. This resilience is what gives their friendship staying power. Even if life pulls them apart, different cities, different careers, different worlds, they don't need daily check-ins to stay connected. They could go months without speaking and then suddenly text each other at 2 a.m. with a meme or an insane idea, and it'll feel like no time passed. Their bond isn't about proximity, it's about recognition. A soul level, I see you, no matter where they are or how long it's been. Over time, this friendship only gets stronger. Where others fade out or grow apart, Aries and Sagittarius continue to inspire each other. They're the kind of friends who celebrate wins loudly, who show up for each other's big moments, and who believe, in the deepest, most unconditional way, that life is better with the other person in it. They don't just make great friends, they make legendary ones. The kind you talk about for the rest of your life. The kind you write about in memoirs, toast at weddings, call in emergencies, and dream with over bonfires. The kind of friend who isn't just part of your story, they are a chapter. In the end, whether it starts with laughter, chaos, or an accidental road trip to nowhere, the friendship between an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman is a gift that time can't dim. It's real, it's raw, and it's forever. Business compatibility. Ever hear the phrase, too many cooks in the kitchen? With an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman teaming up in business, it's more like two chefs setting fire to the kitchen on purpose just to see what they can reinvent from the ashes. This duo isn't your typical corporate match. They don't just think outside the box, they ignore the box entirely. When it works, they create something revolutionary. But when it doesn't? Well, let's just say you'll know, because sparks will be flying in every direction. Both Aries and Sagittarius are natural-born leaders, but they lead with different frequencies. The Aries man is pure fire in motion, decisive, impulsive, and unafraid to take risks that would make most entrepreneurs break out in hives. He doesn't wait for permission, doesn't fear rejection, and rarely second-guesses himself. For him, business is a battlefield, and success belongs to the bold. He'll launch a product before it's fully developed, pitch an idea to investors before the pitch deck is done, and jump into a new market just because it feels right. His mantra? Act now, fix later. On the other side of the table, you have the Sagittarius woman, who leads with big-picture thinking, relentless optimism, and a visionary spirit. She's a strategist, a futurist, a believer in innovation and expansive impact. While Aries charges forward, Sagittarius is scanning the horizon, thinking 3 steps ahead, exploring trends, social movements, and how to bring meaningful change into business. She's less interested in the bottom line and more intrigued by the purpose behind it. She's the type who wants to start a company that changes lives, not just profits. But don't mistake her idealism for indecision. When she believes in something, she's a force of nature. The challenge? Control and timing. Aries, with his laser-focused urgency, may try to take the reins, assuming that speed equals success. But Sagittarius won't be bossed around. The moment she feels boxed in, micromanaged, or forced into a rigid system, she's out the door. She needs autonomy like a CEO needs coffee. Her mind doesn't work in straight lines, it loops, leaps, and follows intuition. If Aries tries to steamroll her process, she'll either disengage or rebel. And if Sagittarius delays decision-making because she's still evaluating options or chasing inspiration, Aries will grow restless, frustrated, and potentially volatile. But here's the golden ticket: when, and only when, they learn to respect each other's strengths and differences, they become an unstoppable business force. Aries brings the heat, he gets things moving, breaks inertia, and kicks open doors. Sagittarius brings the light, she provides the long-term vision, the philosophy, the creative expansion that gives the venture depth and purpose. Together, they cover ground that most teams can't touch. Think Elon Musk's urgency meets Brené Brown's wisdom, with slightly more caffeine and a lot more chaotic brainstorms. They're the kind of business partners who could launch a wildly successful podcast in a week, just because they had a great conversation over lunch. They might turn a random idea on a hike into a travel company, a lifestyle brand, or a community-driven platform. Whatever they do, it won't be ordinary. Their business will reflect them, bold, bright, and boundary-pushing. But, and this is important, their partnership will need grounding. Someone or something to keep the ship on course when both start pulling in their own directions. A steady COO, a reliable accountant, or a smart project manager could be crucial. Not to dampen their creativity, but to give it a frame to thrive within. Aries and Sagittarius can light the match and fuel the fire, but they need someone to tend it or the whole thing could burn out, or worse, burn down. If they can establish clear roles, where Aries is empowered to execute and Sagittarius is empowered to envision, they'll thrive. Aries will drive growth, close deals, and build momentum. Sagittarius will shape the mission, inspire the culture, and keep their brand grounded in purpose. When their energies are aligned, they generate a dynamic that's magnetic to clients, customers, and collaborators alike. People will want to be part of whatever they're building, because the enthusiasm is real, and the product is infused with passion. Their business will never be boring. There will be long nights, wild ideas, strong opinions, and probably more than a few heated debates. But that's the nature of fire, it's alive, volatile, and transformative. If they can ride the flames without trying to control them too tightly, they'll end up building something bold, brilliant, and bigger than either of them imagined. In the end, business for an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman is not just about profits or prestige. It's about freedom, expression, and breaking molds. Together, they don't just start companies. They start movements. Final thoughts. So, what's the real verdict on the dynamic between an Aries man and a Sagittarius woman? One word: electrifying. This is not the kind of connection you stumble into without noticing. No, this pairing is loud, bright, and unforgettable. It doesn't whisper, it roars. They aren't a couple who merely coexist or float comfortably in the shallows of life. They dive in, splash hard, and make waves big enough for everyone to notice. When these two find each other, it's not just chemistry, it's cosmic combustion. And whether they're building a love, a friendship, or a business, they leave a trail of sparks behind them. At their best, the Aries man and Sagittarius woman unlock each other's deepest potential. He brings courage, drive, and a fearless commitment to pushing forward no matter the odds. She brings wisdom, humor, and a boundless sense of possibility. Together, they form a bond rooted in growth, laughter, and shared intensity. They don't hold each other back, they throw each other higher. She inspires him to see beyond the next conquest. He grounds her enough to actually make her dreams real. It's like the universe paired the thrill of the first match strike with the endurance of an eternal flame. But let's be clear, this isn't always an easy ride. Their relationship is high octane, high stakes, and sometimes high drama. Passion is their native language, and when two passionate people clash, fireworks are inevitable. The Aries man can be impulsive, possessive, and emotionally demanding. The Sagittarius woman, for all her joy and depth, can also be blunt, elusive, and fiercely independent. There will be moments when one of them wants to bolt, and moments when they both wonder if they've met their match or their match's nemesis. But beneath the intensity is a powerful lesson, that real connection doesn't mean constant comfort. It means constant evolution. That's what makes this pairing so special. It challenges both partners to grow, not in quiet, slow-burning ways, but through friction, adventure, and emotional honesty. Aries learns to slow down, to listen, to let someone in without needing to control the outcome. Sagittarius learns to stay, to invest deeper, and to honor the beauty of commitment without feeling like she's sacrificing her freedom. They teach each other what it means to love fiercely and freely. Even when they argue, it's never lifeless. Even in silence, the air between them hums with potential. Even when apart, there's a gravitational pull that keeps them orbiting each other's world. This is not the kind of love or connection that fades quietly. It's either everything or nothing. And more often than not, it's everything. They may build a life together that defies all norms, living in different cities, running a business on the go, raising free-spirited kids in a van by the ocean, or simply supporting each other's journeys from parallel paths. Or they may remain lifelong friends, circling back to each other when the world gets too dull or too serious. However their connection evolves, one thing is certain, it never disappears. In astrology, fire signs are said to burn bright and fast. But when Aries and Sagittarius find their rhythm, they can burn for a lifetime. They light each other up, yes, but they also light the way forward, illuminating possibilities neither could have imagined alone. Their bond is not about taming the fire. It's about learning to dance in it, to grow from it, and to never apologize for the blaze. So if you're lucky enough to be in this pairing, or drawn to someone who fits the bill, know that it won't always be easy. But it will be real, bold, brave, and absolutely worth it. Because when two fire signs come together, they don't just light a spark, they set the sky on fire. And if they choose to keep feeding that flame with respect, passion, and truth, they won't just be unforgettable to each other. They'll be legendary. If you enjoyed this deep dive into zodiac compatibility, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and check out more videos exploring the magic of astrology, love, and the stars above. And don't forget to follow our social media links in the description for more cosmic insights. Until next time, keep the fire burning.